Hello and thank you for joining us. You're watching Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Stay with us. The FIDRI Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed at COP27 said Ethiopia has made rapid and significant progress in combating climate change through ambitious climate action and a green pathway for growth and prosperity. The Prime Minister and his delegation are participating at the 27th edition of the Conference of Parties for UN Climate Change Conference being held in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. The Prime Minister has shared Ethiopia's Green Legacy Initiative and the country's 10-year development plan that anchors building climate-resilient economy. Expressing gratitude to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi for the warm hospitality, the Premier noted that Ethiopia has made rapid and significant progress in combating climate change through ambitious climate action and a green pathway for growth and prosperity in three key areas such as afforestation, reforestation, and the green legacy, ensuring food sustainability and transitioning to green economy. The Premier felt confident that COP27, the African COP, is an excellent opportunity for Africa to express collective stances. Africa is the most vulnerable to climate change, while accounting for less than 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions and approximately 17% of total global population. Nonetheless, Africa receives less than 5% of the world's climate fund, which is mainly in debt. Combating climate change requires a collaborative effort and adequate funding, the Premier concluded. One of the codes of the agreement signed between the warring TPLF rebels and government forces is all about the urgent needs of basic services to be channeled to the needy in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. To this end, the Ethiopia's Disaster Risk Management Commission has formed 4 teams to coordinate and accelerate the immediate delivery of humanitarian aid, said the FIDRI Government Communication Service today. Daniel Kasaun tells you more.
The daunting negotiation in Pretoria, South Africa, which took 10 days to reach an agreement, has brought positive impetus to the country. Government Communication Service Ministry said all the courts which are anchored in the agreement are instrumental for the Ethiopian people to have a peaceful and prosperous country.
There are major points which help both sides to refrain from mongering conflicts. In this regard, the government side has always been showing willingness, even it went on declaring humanitarian truce. This decision is constructive for both sides. In this regard, the mass media have to play ethical and constructive roles for the agreement to succeed swiftly.
Of the articles in the agreement, swift and coordinated channeling of humanitarian supplies is worth mentioning. The State Minister for Government Communication Services indicated various humanitarian support and rebuilding works are being carried out in different areas.
ድረስ በድምሩ ለ108,000 ለሚሆኑ ዜጎች የምግብ ድጋፍ ለማድረግ ተችሏል።
The government is keen for the swift delivery of humanitarian supports in the northern part of Ethiopia. In addition to Tigray region, the Afar Abala corridor, the Gondar Dabark Shire, and the Waldia Qobo Alamata routes have been reopened for humanitarian aid delivery. Food assistance has been provided to more than 108,000 citizens since the peace agreement.
She added that more than 16,000 quintals of wheat grain has been delivered to those citizens so far. The Ethiopia's Disaster Risk Management Commission has formed 4 teams to coordinate and accelerate the immediate delivery of humanitarian aid.
A historian says the peace deal signed between the Ethiopian government and TPLF is an exemplary and empowering African institutions' role to resolving conflicts by their own. Researcher on African history Teganu Gosa underscored that the peace deal serves us to revive the Pan-African spirit. Goshumelisa reports.
The Ethiopian government and TPLF signed a peace agreement to end the 2-year-long bloody conflict in northern Ethiopia. Researcher on African history and history Teganu Gosa said the peace deal signed between federal government and TPLF is an exemplary and empowering African institutions' role in resolving conflicts by their own.
It's very exemplary, and it can be exemplary only if we manage to see through its implementation. And once we accomplish that one, this is a matter of self-respect, respecting African brothers and sisters who have been trying to help us. It's a matter of principle, and it's a matter of respecting African institutions, as I said. Once this deal is accomplished, it will set a very good example as to how much Africa is capable of solving its own problem.
Taganu underscored that the peace agreement served to reawaken the Pan-African spirit.
This deal was struck in the process or amidst the reawakening of Pan-African movements. And you see the events that are unfolding and happening in Addis Ababa and beyond. And as I can see, Addis Ababa, or Ethiopian government, is trying to spearhead this reawakening. And Addis Ababa is trying to become the hub of this reawakened movement. So this deal, this peace deal, and its implementation is going to complement this Pan-African movement. And we need to capitalize on this one. And this kind of process is going to further strengthen the movement. This is going to further encourage Ethiopia's role in the Pan-African movement.
Since the outbreak of the war in northern Ethiopia, Ethiopia faced numerous challenges from some Western nations and their media outlets. However, it has overcome the mounting pressure with African brothers and other friendly nations, the scholar noted.
Ethiopians, and together with their African brothers and other friendly nations, managed to overcome all this despite all these pressures. And this deal is very much significant, and it's actually in line with the motto of African solution to African problems. Ethiopian government's commitment to this principle has paid off. And the mediation effort by African brothers and sisters have succeeded.
Taganu urged the two parties to fully implement the peace pact to enjoy the peace dividend.
We need to honor and fully implement this deal, mainly because of 3 or 4 reasons I should mention briefly. First and foremost, it's a matter of principle. This principle, which says African solution to African problem, was ratified, and Ethiopia is one of the countries behind this. So we should live by the principle we ratified ourselves. And Ethiopian government should continue to advocate and commit to this principle. And second, it's a matter of self-respect. Seeing the implementation, full implementation of this deal will showcase that Africans indeed can solve their own problems by themselves. This means it will help in reducing foreign interventions to come.
Part of the provision of the agreement, DDR disarmament, demobilization and reintegration discussion between army chiefs is progressing well in Kenya, it was learned. Taganu underscored that the peace agreement served to reawaken the Pan-African spirit.
Social anthropologist told ETV that the peace agreement reached between the Ethiopian government and TPLF in Ethiopia should be carefully implemented in a manner that brings trust among people. The scholar Angela Raven also indicated that post-war rehabilitation works should be done with great care and in a manner that creates trust between peoples. Johannes Fentahun has compiled the following account.
After 2 years of bloody war, the federal government and the TPLF was able to reach a peace agreement through the mediation of the African Union. A scholar who spoke to ETV said that the peace agreement reached should be managed with great care and the people-to-people ties should be renewed. Social anthropologist Angela Raven underscored that every wartime drawbacks should be faced through peaceful discussion.
All discussions need to be nurtured like a little baby. You know, you have to give them space to talk, to discuss. And meanwhile, at the ground level, Hizb la Hizb, I mean, citizen to citizen, we need to face things. I think it was the great American author James Baldwin who I think he said something like, not everything that is faced can be changed, but you cannot change anything until it is faced. And I think we are at a moment when everybody has to face, not just in Ethiopia, but in the world, we have to face those issues and build an environment to really talk about them in peace and to get over the pain, the anger, the frustration.
Angela Revan stated that there are people from all sides who were injured during the war. However, these people should be involved in the peace process. She also emphasized that reliable institutions are significant to build trustfulness among peoples at every level.
You have to get to a point where, number one, revenge. I mean, people are going to be angry, painful, and how you get beyond that, and you need an enabling environment where people not only trust each other, but they can also trust the institutions. And so that's why at the same time as you're communicating or you're dialoguing, other institutions around you need to solidify. So for example, you really need to have just basic services working. So people, for example, can trust institutions, that they can have access to health care, to food. All the things that keep you alive have to be accelerated and put there, so then people don't have to worry about that. So then when they start discussing with each other, and they need support from traditional leaders, faith leaders, the religion, elders, shamagiles, and especially, for example, women and youth can also, talk to each other and be monitoring, what's going on, and creating that environment where truth can come out but also be dealt with.
Finally, the anthropologist called on Ethiopians to manage the obstacles carefully in implementation of the peace process.
Unfortunately, we're in a globe where everybody is now an international politician, and everything, and I think the trust has to be built on transparency and truth, and I think the processes to get at that need to be put in place, and I think the pressure that comes from everywhere, whether it's social media, governments, diasporas, local elites, anyone, please just step back a little and let's tone it down.
The destructive war in the northern part of Ethiopia comes to an end with an agreement signed in Pretoria, South Africa. Amidst of this severe situation, Ethiopia's economic development endeavors are proved resilient, of which is the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which is nearing completion. For more of God-related issues and other current matters of the country, watch us on Addis News Hour of ETV Language Channel.
The 2022 Ethiopian Great will take place this November. ETV English is provide live reporting, exclusive interview, sport assortments, and other related activities in the competition. We are also ready to make a report to show the significance of Ethiopian Great Run in cementing or boosting the sport diplomacy of Ethiopia.
Welcome back. The National Dialogue Commission and Ethiopian Civil Society Organizations Council have signed an agreement to work in collaboration. The National Dialogue Commission is carrying out various activities by soliciting the necessary support from all corners of the country, including regional states, civic organizations, and international institutions. Accordingly, the Commission has signed an agreement with the Ethiopian Civil Society Organizations Council to work in partnership. The National Dialogue Commission Chairman, Professor Mesfin Araya, and the Director General of the Council, Henok Melles, signed the agreement. During the signing ceremony, Professor Mesfin said the Commission has been carrying out various activities over the past 6 months. The contribution of civic society organizations in Ethiopia is immense for the successful accomplishment of the Commission's undertakings, as they have large presence across the country. He further stated that the Commission will establish similar work relations with other institutions. The Director General of the Council, Henok Mellas, for his part, expressed the Council's readiness to exert the utmost efforts to play a role for the successful conduct of the dialogue. Korea International Cooperation Agency KOICA's World Friends Korea WFK volunteer program is set to play a paramount importance to speed up the development endeavors of Ethiopia through knowledge sharing and creating connections. During the event, volunteers said the program is critical for change and rapid economic growth to strengthen people-to-people connections between the two nations. Kasaun Channe has the following report. Take a look.
Korea International Cooperation Agency (KOICA) is a government agency of the Republic of Korea, which was established on April 1, 1991. KOICA is currently conducting official aid programs and technical cooperation, likewise supporting a socio-economic development of partner developing countries, intending to promote friendly ties between Ethiopia and Korea through socio-cultural and educational activities. Korea International Cooperation Agency KOICA Ethiopia office has been playing a profound role in showing important technical skills and knowledge, as well as building capacities for sustainable socio-economic development. Attending the event, the former Ethiopian ambassador to Korea, Shifa that KOICA has been operating in Ethiopia for more than 27 years and has been assisting the government of Ethiopia in achieving its development targets by implementing more than $213 million in development projects. By the same token, Deputy Director KOICA Ethiopia Country Office Hei Jong-che underscored that WFK Volunteers Program has played a tremendous and exemplary role within the education, health and economic sector in Ethiopia.
KOICA volunteers in Ethiopia, they are supporting to communities for development and communities for health well-being and education sector as well. And they are now currently working in the area of education in Sebeta for literacy education for all. Korea is the very first volunteers who is dispatched the volunteer program here after COVID-19. So our government is willing to show the word about the normalization of this country, and we will be having more volunteers to come next year.
Some participants for their part also appreciated the role of the KOICA Ethiopia office with the volunteer service programs that have been seen to increase Ethiopian human resource development and capacity building.
In the education sector, we are strong partners. We do have many volunteers from KOICA, so for the time being, we do have, I think, around 12 volunteers working in primary schools. So our teachers and our schools are getting skill and knowledge from the Korean-based work culture. The Koreans, as far as I've been working with them, they have a very strong work culture. They are highly dedicated. They do everything they do seriously, so and they are very disciplined society. So we have a lot to learn from them.
Other participants also added that KOICA, as a development cooperation platform in Ethiopia, has been entering into partnerships with a wide array of stakeholders, including Ethiopian government ministries, regional state bodies, public institutions, civil society, and academia.
They are working with us so many things in ophthalmology. One. The second one is during the COVID outbreak, they support us the personal protecting equipment directly from the ambassador to the Ethiopia, and we are supported by them, and we have a chance to communicate with the ambassador, and they are really happy to support us.
They play a broader role in health, in agriculture, in education, in manufacturing, in public administration. The health sector is one of the biggest beneficiaries. It's called K-Medic, and they dispatch global doctors who are specialists or subspecialists in advanced fields, like, for example, for the treatment of lung diseases. So those kinds of volunteers have been based in Jimma University Institute of Health for the past 8 years.
KOICA served among the global current doctors serving and showing expertise in Ethiopia. Dr. Yoon Chan-yoon, who is an ophthalmologist in a hospital, is implementing a project entitled Electricity Stability of Eye Department at Rasdasta Damto Memorial Hospital and strengthening of cataract operation.
KOICA is working in our hospital for a long period of time, especially on the ophthalmology department. Ophthalmology department are highly supported by KOICA organization, and our hospital is having a number of supports from them. Before COVID-19, KOICA has more than 3 volunteers in our hospital. The volunteers most of them are doctors, and other staffs are coordinating the activity in our hospital.
Currently, we are implementing 15 volunteers overall, 12 project volunteers here, and 2 global doctors in Jimma and Addis Ababa, and 1 multilateral experts in UNFPA.
It is noted that to maximize this partnership and provide targeted development programs, the agency has played its foundation and strategic planning that ensure an efficient and result-targeted operation.
A new flower is a seed for African Union and many international embassies.
We have to protect our green legacy. The green legacy is very essential for one country.
Concepts and features for the park is something that people have to take part in.
It's so beautiful and also it's so nice.
It's very nice, yeah. It's a very nice park and very diverse and very green. It brings something extra, and I think, like I said, it's a good spot to relax with the green and with the nice view you have. So yeah, I would recommend it to come here.
This place is pretty nice because I like the water show. I like the decoration. For example, that is really cool.
Lots of experience have been enjoyed by people who have come across from different areas.
Come visit, see this place. It's pretty, it's worth it. Come here.